Welcome back, everyone. The UFC has wrapped up its first event of the year, a fight night at the Apex, headlined by a rematch. Mackenzie Dern, Amanda Ribas, and guys, this card over delivered. Coming into the fight, coming into the card in general, we spoke about how the main event necessarily didn't have much weight to it. Mackenzie Dern is someone who has a lot of hype behind her character, beyond her fighting skills, which sort of allows her to get into these opportunities and places that a lot of fighters don't. Regardless, the fight actually ended up, being quite entertaining to watch. And like I said, the card had some real gems and some absolute slugfests, some great knockouts and really entertaining finishes. Let's jump straight into that main event. Mackenzie Dern rewrites a wrong in, a fight where over the first 3 rounds, she had her moments, had some good transitions on the ground, good reversals, but it was interesting. Like she really needed those extra 2 rounds for her game, her submission game, to work, to find that opening. Ribas, was fighting really well, fighting really calculated, quite smart. If this was a 15-minute fight, she would have won again. She would have gone 2-0. But Mackenzie Dern had the 25 minutes to work. It is so hard to avoid that level of submission threat for 25 minutes. Even if you're putting her in bad positions and being safe and calculated, it literally takes a split second or, a setup that you don't see coming where all of a sudden you're in a really bad spot and the fight just slips out of your hands. Mackenzie Dern locks up a beautiful armbar and like I said, rewrites a wrong, claws back that loss, builds a little bit of momentum. Mackenzie Dern, someone who's been very up and down, win-loss, fallen short in some pretty big moments. So I wonder if this is the moment where she puts it all together. I feel like we've talked about that a lot in the past, and Mackenzie Dern is someone who has like a lot of fandom. People want her to be great, want her to be at this level, but objectively, this was a really impressive win. So, like I said, great performance from Mackenzie Dern and tough for Ribas because she was looking, really calculated and looking really smart in there until she wasn't. Let's dive deeper onto this card because the main card was fireworks. Carlton Harris and Ponzinibbio put on a great fight. Harris almost had Ponzi out of there, dropped him like twice right at the end of the first round. And 20 more seconds, that fight was over. Ponzinibbio was hurt really bad, but like I spoke about going into this fight, he just showed his veteran experience, only having 60 seconds, but between rounds, able to really compose himself and start to turn the tides. Once he was landing those 1-2, those 3-2s down the middle, that right hand was on tonight. It was powerful, fast, and his fitness, his experience at the top level, just being able to stick to the game plan when stuff really got tough was the difference tonight, and is the difference maker in someone like Ponzinibbio being able to stick around for so long, even as he's aging, later into his career. Cesar Almeida puts on a show and turns the lights off of Abdulrazak Al-Hassan. Coming into this one, we knew this was going to be fireworks. I honestly thought Abdul was going to wrestle more. Cesar Almeida is a very talented striker, great kickboxer, and although he's transitioned, fairly recently to MMA, he's able to transition that striking very well into the 4-ounce gloves. And, the wrestling's where I thought Abdul was going to be able to find some holes and take advantage, but he wanted to strike and bang. He drops Cesar Almeida with a beautiful straight right and then just got too excited, backed him up against the cage and got iced for it. Like, that was a bad knockout. Cesar Almeida meets him, boom, beautiful left hook, caught Abdul square. And when you get caught square like that, that's where you see the worst knockouts happening. Like I said, he was out for a long time. It was a bad KO, that one-hitter quitter. Cesar Almeida, like we spoke about, has that power in this division where he's able to turn the lights out, very quickly. He's a really interesting prospect for me. His only loss in the UFC, Kopylov, we'll get to Kopylov, another guy who fought on this card. I think that loss has taught him a lot of lessons in his composure and just sticking a bit more patient, because we know how powerful and how technical that striking is. And with the patience, yeah, he's a deadly combination. I cannot wait to see how he progresses forward at middleweight. A lot of wrestlers at middleweight, so we'll see how that works out. But like I said, he is so entertaining to watch. Let's get into that Roman Kopylov Chris Curtis fight. This has got to be one of the fights of the year. I know it's the first card of the year, but like that third round was something special. This was a really interesting matchup for me, stylistically going in, because they have really polar opposite styles as strikers. Chris Curtis, very front foot heavy southpaw boxer, loves body work, big hooks, and finds his rhythm. And once he can get that rhythm, he can really implore his game. But if you're able to break that rhythm and timing, get in between, land shots there, you can have a real success. A lot of guys have in the UFC in the past, and Kopylov, that's who he is. Long, rangy striker, very good kicks, great accuracy, and did a great job in that first round of beating Curtis to the punch. Beautiful kicks, hurting him with those long straights, and how he was using the leg kicks to set up those straight punches up top. The guy is clearly a calculated striker. He's not throwing stuff out there just because. Everything has an intention, even if it doesn't look necessarily impactful in the moment. It's to open up a window to land a really impactful strike. So, yeah, Kopylov is such a fun striker to watch. The second round, though, it looked like the pace of the fight was starting to catch up to him a little bit, because Chris Curtis is a Terminator. The guy has such a great chin, takes damage, and does not know any way than to move forward. If this guy knew how to cut off the cage, he would, have a lot more success than he does, because he's so good at just continuing to move forward as a pressure striker. He, like I said, really, that pressure really started to get to Kopylov, and I thought the tides were turning, but Kopylov did such a great job of sticking disciplined and landing those impactful shots to just halt the momentum and switch it back in his favor. Like, hurt Chris Curtis in all of the rounds, even in the rounds, like round 2 and 3, where Chris Curtis was having success in bits. Kopylov did such a good job at not giving up and letting, that momentum wash him down the hill. He was, really, really good at sticking in there and finding success in those moments himself. In that third round, like I said, that was an absolute barn burner. Those last 2 minutes, those guys went to war. And talk about a finish to a fight. People are going to say late stoppage. The commentators are going to talk about that. But Mark Smith did a fantastic job in there. I think it's one of those cases of Chris Curtis being too tough for his own good. Like, Mark Smith, he eats the head kick. Beautiful head kick in that punching combination. Kopylov throws the kick behind the left hand. Beautiful. Like, Kopylov is a seasoned striker, and he's proved that time and time again. Great kickboxer. How he was able to, land that kick on the end of the punching combination where Curtis felt safe to throw the hands was beautiful. But yeah, regardless, he was hurt, and Smith came over, let him try to get up, and yeah, he stumbled. I thought that was a great stoppage, regardless of how long was left. It's not the referee's job to know how long is left on the clock and, let's let Chris Curtis get to a decision here. No, he saw Chris Curtis was hurt, and he did not let him take any more damage. So yeah, great stoppage, great fight. Give these boys 50K, because yeah, that was an absolute fireworks fight. That was some really exciting stuff. Apex, no Apex, like that fight, that third round in particular, should live on this year and should be revisited, because that was really special. Some more great performances. C-Rod, again, getting so disrespected. We talked about this. Bashi, yes, he had a cool Contender Series win, but he's green. Never fought someone at this level. And for the odds to be where they were, it was such a red flag. I definitely capitalized on that tonight, and I hope you guys did too. Christian Rodriguez, when are these guys gonna learn to put some respect on his name, especially against these young undefeated prospects. That's 4 now. 4 undefeated prospects he's given their first 0 to. The guy is really improving. The only thing about Christian Rodriguez is he just seems to be caught between bantamweight and featherweight. Looks a little bit small for featherweight and just too big for bantamweight. But yeah, the guy is really, really like putting it all together and coached by a great team. And I think he's been with them for a long time. They've really imprinted him as a fighter. I love watching Christian Rodriguez fight, and hopefully now he's going to have some respect put on his name because the kid deserves it. Punahale Soriano murks the dentist very quickly. I did not see that one coming. I thought it was beautiful to watch, to see Punahale get back in the winner's circle, because the guy, obviously puts so much hard work in and has fallen on some tough times recently. So for him to come in here, use that beautiful shift into the wide looping hooks, one of his best combination from either side. But yeah, just caught Medic exiting with his chin up, and that was all she wrote. Beautiful KO. Like I said, guys, this card was electric and a really, really exciting way to not only start the year, but to set up what is going to be a pretty historic pay-per-view next weekend. Thank you so much for joining me. If you could like, comment, and subscribe, I would really, really appreciate it. And we will chat soon.